Today, I thought it'd be fun if we played a little game, and guess what we're back on? Your girl is back at her bookshelf. Did you guys miss her? Did you guys miss her? I know, you guys can already see a few books that are missing that are going to be in this video today. If you guys are new here, I've been doing videos from my bed. My bed has a bookshelf connected to it, so yeah, there's books everywhere in this room. But we're back at my actual bookshelf, which we haven't been in a very, very long time. I don't know if the next video is going to be here. I just know that I was going to be here for today's video because I'm filming a little surprise something for you guys that required me to be here because the bookshelf over there was not doing it for me. And also when I film over there, it kind of gets a little shaky because the camera is quite literally on my bed, so not that great. But today I am going to be doing, we're gonna play a little game, right? And today we're going to be doing, is the BookTok book worth it? Yeah, I'm so excited. Now, these are not all of my BookTok books. I've read a ton of very popular BookTok books, but today we're going to be doing just a few of them because I cannot show you guys my entire bookshelf. Do you guys know how many books are up here? Last time I counted, it was like 600. Yeah, so no. But today, if you guys want to do a part 2 of this, if you guys want to see a part 2 of this where I do books that were not included in this video, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, for now we're just going to do these, okay? So you guys can already probably see the first book that's on this list today, and it is The Summer I Turned Pretty by 𝘰𝘱𝘦𝘯. This book was not worth it. This is one of the rare occasions where I find that the show was better than the book, if that makes sense. It wasn't good, and something that I found, it's a repeating occurrence when I read 𝘰𝘱𝘯 books. There's only been one 𝘰𝘱𝘯 book that I liked, and it was Burn for Burn. I read the entire The Summer I Turned Pretty series trilogy, and I also read To All the Boys I Loved Before. So I've read a few of her books. So with that being said, it's something about the way she writes. She writes very repetitive, almost as if she's talking to a child when these are rated young adult, which is mainly focusing on the teenager demographic. Now, what I mean by that is that especially in To All the Boys I Loved Before, when you're reading it, she will say the same thing over and over again, all on the same page. There was one time I was in a server, and we were doing a book game where we had to write down names, and as many names we got gave us points. I got 40 points off of one page alone. Yeah. So it kind of also came to play in The Summer I Turned Pretty, but not as much. It was kind of repetitive, and it was also very plain. It was boring. I read this book back in 2024, and I did not finish the trilogy until 2025. Now, it may not seem like that's crazy, but in 2024, I started at the beginning of 2024, and I did not finish this trilogy until the end of 2025. Like, the very end of 2025. So, that just goes to show that the first book did not have me hooked. And it's just not worth your time. But this is just my opinion. Okay, so this next book is actually technically not a BookTok book because it's mostly people's childhood books or childhood read, but it is also very popular on BookTok, so I'm going to include it in the video regardless. And this book is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I have an entire reading blog where I read this book, so if you guys have already read it, you guys can go check it out because it does have spoilers. But The Hunger Games was just an amazing experience. It was so much fun. It's also very, very fast-paced. I almost cried, which I rarely cry. I did not cry, but I almost did, and I rarely cry over books. And this was one of those books where I was gonna almost shed tears. Like in the reading vlog, I was like, guys, I'm actually gonna cry if this happens, right? So tears will almost shed. But this book is so good, and it was well written, and it's published with Scholastic. You guys know Scholastic is aimed towards children, but it did not feel like a children's book. It felt more like a YA book in like the best way possible. I feel like I was so immersed in the story, I did not want to put it down. I literally stayed up until 1 a.m. to finish this book. That's how good it was. Okay, so the next book in this list I actually read in 2024, and I've been reading it ever since because this author does not like to stop publishing books in this series. It was originally supposed to be a trilogy. Me saying that probably gave it away, but this book was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and the author was like, actually, we're gonna make it a saga. And now there's like 5 books in the series, and then there's also like a spin-off book with 2 of the FMCs because it is a love triangle book, and that book is Lilac. Now, I have very mixed emotions on this series. If you guys watched my most recent video where I read grwm, it was very mixed opinion on how I felt about the book because it takes place in 2 different point of views, and it's like a half book, so one half takes place in one point of view and the other half takes another, and I liked only one point of view. Now, Light Lark was amazing. It was so well written and I had so much fun. It was so enjoyable. But then you just continue to read the books and the quality, not the quality, because the quality doesn't deteriorate, but it's the enjoyment, and it deteriorates. This is, for example, a young adult series, meaning it is for teenagers, meaning there's not supposed to be any spice. Light Lark was amazing with that. She did great with it. But then we enter Nightbane and then there's spice. Then we enter Skyshade and it might as well just be a book on AO3. And then you read the spinoff Grim and Oro, and Grimm's entire point of view is very lustful. So I feel like it just deteriorates every time, and also Nightbane felt like it was running in circles. Skyshade was a bit better quality and perspective wise, and then Grim and Oro was kind of just the same thing copy pasted on both point of views. So I'm just saying, enter the series with your own risk. For me, it's a maybe, because only the first book has actually been the one that I've enjoyed the most. Like, out of all of them, I enjoyed Skyshade. But if you ask me which one is my favorite, it is Light Lark. And I really wish that we kept the same quality and storyline from Light Lark. Okay, next book, and it is Caraval. It is kind of the same thing with this book, Caraval. It's very mixed emotions. Caraval itself was such a magical, fun story, but then you enter Legendary, and maybe this is just because me as a person does not like the character Tella, and the last two books are really told much more in her perspective, or at least they follow her more. And Caraval is told in Scarlet's perspective, which I love me some Scarlet and I love me some Julian. I'm not the biggest fan of Tella and Legend. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this book because I do have a video upcoming where I talk about the entire trilogy as well as the novella, but since we're on the topic of the novella is definitely not worth it, and it's actually very disturbing, the novella itself. It's supposed to be something that's supposed to be cute and Christmas themed, but it was actually very dark. Like, is this dark romance? No. But Caraval itself as a book was very entertaining. It was very fun and very fast paced. I could not put this book down for the life of me. It is so entertaining. I'm gonna tell you that Stephanie Garber put her foot in this book. Okay, she did. Also, I want to say I recommend reading this before you read the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, because I don't know who keeps telling y'all not to, but things make more sense because the entire trilogy, like the last two books of the trilogy, kind of explain a lot and make things make more sense when you read Once Upon a Broken Heart. And also, Once Upon a Broken Heart spoils some of the things in Caraval for you, so you might just want to read Caraval first. The next book, this book is my pride and joy. Okay, this book is my pride and joy, so you guys already know. And this book is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Yes, but no, this is actually a maybe. Binding 13 on BookTok is a book that people say is just something that's supposed to be a cute little romance. It is not that. I went into this book thinking it was something cute, and I thought it was going to be something fun and lighthearted, because that's what it was marketed as, not by the author herself, but as the people on BookTok. The community was like, this is just a fun, cute YA romance. This book, thankfully, because Chloe Walsh had to fight for it because our publishers did not want to do it, it's now rated new adult instead of young adult. So it's now rated for adults. But this book is dark. Not like Haunting Adeline kind of dark, but more like emotionally dark. Okay, so it really deals with a lot of mentally troubling issues. So please read the trigger warnings. They're always at the very beginning of the book. Everything that you need to know is at the beginning of the book. This is a maybe because some people don't have the emotional capacity, or it could also trigger them because there's a lot of trigger warnings for the entirety of the series. But just make sure that whatever you decide to do, that it's best for your mental well-being, which is why I'm saying it's a maybe. If you have no triggers and you're not like you're not emotionally, like mentally and emotionally unstable, then I would definitely recommend reading this one, because this was very fun once things get better for the characters. But the first book itself is a no-go if you are not. The next book, The Cruel Prince. This is a maybe for me, okay? People on BookTok, and once again, not the author, but people on BookTok market this book as romantasy. Guys, this is fantasy with a sprinkle of romance, okay? So the reason I'm saying maybe is I would say yes, but it's a maybe. So if you like romance, just know the romance does not come until like right here. The last 20 pages of the book is where the romance comes in. Okay, the entirety of the book is to show female empowerment. I feel with The Cruel Prince is to show female empowerment and not backing down when there are challenges in your way. It has a beautiful life story, not life story, but life lesson, and it has a beautiful moral. I feel like people need to read it for the sake of like strength and learning how to like avoid obstacles, not even avoid, but fight your obstacles. Because Jude does it so well. The Cruel Prince is a beautiful story, but it is not a romantasy. I think the romance comes more in The Wicked King, which is the second book. But if you're looking for romance in the first book, that is not this. So I would say no to you. But if you're fine with just a fantasy that has a beautiful moral and a beautiful story, then I would just say yes, because The Cruel Prince was a great book. Okay guys, we only have 3 more books. Okay, so actually I'm gonna just go ahead and do these last 2 because these technically are the same duology, and it is If You Had Been With Me and If Only I Had Told Her. Now the reason that I put both of these is because I have different opinions on both of these books. Now you're probably like, you have different opinions on all the books. Yeah, but it's only 2, so I don't have the whole tea, and I'm gonna talk about them regardless. So If You Had Been With Me is a maybe. The writing style is not the best. It is once again written like it's for children. It's very basic, and I genuinely did not want to read it when I first picked it up just because of the writing style. It is literally written like a children's book. I'm also very mad because there's no trigger warnings in here, and there should be, because there's a lot of dark themes, and the trigger warnings are only available in the special edition of this novel. What is that gonna do for new readers? Because me as a new reader, I'm not going to go purchase a special edition for a book I've never read. That's a lie, I've done it many times. But most people don't buy special editions of books they've never read before until they've read the book. So why put it somewhere where people who are never going to see it, who actually might need it, right? But please look up the trigger warnings on like Google or something, because they are important. But the story itself, ignoring the entire writing style, the story itself was good and I enjoyed it. Now If Only I Had Told Her is a fat no. If you have read the first book, then you don't need to read the second one. Now you have to read the first book to read the second one if you're thinking about it, but the second book is a fat no. It is boring. B-O-R-I-N-G. The only thing that was worth it was probably Finn's point of view, which doesn't even last half the book. Most of the book is about Jack and Autumn, which takes up this much, and this much is like Finn, right? Everything else is boring, and it was kind of feel like useless. There was this entire dialogue for Jack about how he didn't like school, and it went on for like 3 chapters, and I was like, man, I thought we were here to talk about the grief of losing your friend. Why are we talking about school? And you might be like, okay, well, people have lives. Well, yes, but I'm here to see how these characters are handling their grief, not to hear about how much they hate school, because girl, I hate school too, but you don't see me talking about it for 3 chapters. Okay, so yeah, but the book also was very bland and very boring, because after Finn's part, there's no point to reading anymore, because it's kind of just useless stuff. It gives you no better information on the characters. It doesn't give you much more insight. It doesn't. It's just like an extended epilogue, if anything. And this is a very long epilogue. And the last book that I have here for this video, once again, if you guys want to see a part 2, I will definitely make a part 2 for you guys. But the last book for this video is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. Now, Shatter Me, specifically Shatter Me, was a no, right? But then you see I have the rest of the books, not the rest because I'm still reading it, but I have Up to Define Me, which is book 5. So obviously you're gonna have to enjoy it sometime. Shatter Me itself sucked. It was boring. I don't know what else you want me to say. It was boring. But I was buddy reading it with my friend, and my friend was like, can we at least read the second book and see if it gets better? We read the second book and it started to get better. And we read the third book. The third book was phenomenal. Fourth book was kind of like the same rating that I have for the second book. It was okay. It was nothing life-changing. So I'm excited to see how Define Me is. But I would just say this is a maybe. If you're willing to push through the first book, because it gets, like, literally Unravel Me is 10 times better than the first book. If you're willing to push through the first book, then yes. If you're not, then no. If you're on the edge, then maybe. So I guess kind of just like your opinion on if you're willing to. It's also, Shatter Me compared to the rest of them are pretty short. It's 316 pages, and it's not you just sitting in one area for the entirety of the book. I just personally felt like, okay, well, it could use a bit more like spice. And when I say spice, I mean like something to ignite a fire, something to like give excitement to the story. Not like actual spice. I just meant something to give excitement to the story, to kind of keep me captivated. I kind of wish it had much more of that, like that wow factor, which to me it didn't, but to other people it does. So I guess it's really just up to you and your opinion. With that being said, this video is over. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. She just loves you more. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, notifications, so you get the next video. Mario, and goodbye.